Hello and welcome to Success is Never Accidental, the show where we get to explore the various factors that contribute to success, and we get to interview some highly successful people. My guest today is someone I've known and worked with for more than 20 years. Dr. Susie Mitchell is a psychologist, a master practitioner in NLP, a global executive coach, and a trainer with the Tony Robbins organization, as well as an inspirational speaker. Susie has helped numerous corporations and multiple small businesses achieve outstanding success over many, many years. But at her heart, this beautiful lady is really focused on the transformation of individuals. And I'm quoting from her website, which says, everyone has the right to be happy, successful, content, and fulfilled. So help me welcome Dr. Susie Mitchell. Hi, Susie, and welcome to Success is Never Accidental. And thank you so much for spending time with us this morning and sharing some of your wisdom and insights. Susie, success is very hard to define because it's so individual. What does success mean to you?
Lynn, what it means to me is doing what I love. That is what I determine as success, because if I'm not living my true love, my passions, my helping people, my making a difference, then I don't feel I'm fully alive.
And on your website, you actually make that correlation between successful happiness and fulfillment. And being on purpose is so, so important. What is it that drives you to still get up every day and add value to everybody's life that you come into contact with?
Well, I think my love of people came way back when I was nursing in the early days. And that is one of my biggest drivers, is working with people. I love to see people flourish. I love to see them grow and start maybe as a little flower opening. As you well know, we've known each other for years. And it's so, in other words, working with people fulfills my personal needs, and my financial goals, which we all should have anyway. That's part of the success matrix, if you will, which I know you teach. We've got to have all that focus and drive, but that's what deeply, deeply drives me, is working with people to make a difference.
And that's an interesting concept, that success matrix, Susie. So what are all the boxes that we have to tick in real life nowadays in order to sort of feel maybe fulfilled in some, or that we just simply met our targets in others?
Well, I think first of all, we've got to look at what drives the individual, because and I know we've all got different drivers. You have to look at your personal goals, your financial goals, all those kind of things within the matrix. What are they striving towards? What is their purpose in life? But obviously, you and I ask questions when we go and work with our clients. And what I think is the biggest thing to ask an individual before we take it into an organization is, what's most important to them? That's the drivers. That's what underpins where their strengths are, where their love of what they do is. But what drives them, I think that defines the success of where they're going to go as well. What do they want? What makes them happy?
And does it amaze you that sometimes people actually have gone quite through, maybe they're even in the last quadrant of their lives, and they've never figured out the answer to that question? So you're exceptionally busy, but you and I met in the Tony Robbins organization, and we weren't just there to help other people, we were there working on ourselves.
Absolutely.
So could you say something about the importance of that self-exploration, the self-reflection, and doing that work on ourselves, and why it's so important to being happy, successful, and fulfilled?
Oh, totally. I've been working on myself, I think, I don't know, from age 10. I left my country where I was born, Malaysia, was sent to boarding school in England, and I had to live and die by my own sword, so to speak. So I feel it's all about working on myself since then. So I'm always learning. I'm always growing. How can I do something better? And I feel that we've learned it from the Tony Robbins world, but not from that world. We've learned it from, you go into other worlds. I do too. We teach in other worlds. It's asking yourself great questions that keep that learning curve going, which keeps stimulating all our neuro pathways to keep that focus, to keep that belief, to keep not wanting more or striving more. It's keep wanting to be the best version of ourselves. That's how I see it. And therefore our passion, well, my passion certainly, and I know yours is to go in and help other people become the best that they do.
And that's so interesting, isn't it? We're not competing against other people. We're working to be the best version of ourselves. And I love that word you use, stimulate. You know, you and I both need to constantly be looking for new ideas, new ways to grow. And there are so many organizations out there that people can tap into to get some of those growth and development experiences. But we would both make sure that we recommended that everybody does at least one UPW with Tony Robbins, who really is the master of that personal development piece.
I think he definitely is. You know, I've worked with different people, from Robin Sharma to Brené Brown, just like you work with different people, but it's understanding truly who you are. And until we immerse ourselves in that personal development paradigm, total immersion, you don't figure it out, because we're all, you know, on that treadmill of life, and sometimes life goes by too quickly, and we've missed a piece that we needed mindset wise to take us to the next level, whatever that means to us. You know, job wise, personal wise, meeting needs, all of the above. But, you know, we cannot, you and I know that personal development underpins everything before professional development. Totally.
Absolutely. And what are some of the things that you have? Do you have any daily disciplines, Susie, that keep you focused and purposeful, even when you don't feel like it? Because we all get days when we get up and we think, oh, really? You know, how am I going to get through today? What are your disciplines to keep you driven?
That's a great question, Lynn. I have always been, one of my big strengths and skills is organization. I'm very structured. I'm very organized. I run a very tight diary ship. You know, I plan obviously for some personal downtime as well, but I have very focused, you know, at the beginning, well, the end of a week before I start the next week, I've literally got it mapped out as much as I can. I know what I'm doing where. That gets me organized in my mind. So organization mentally and emotionally is key for what I've needed in my life to get the best from me, from myself. You know, I'm focused, you know, I've got strong beliefs, but I'm very structured, I'm very organized, and I bring in the fun element. I have to be passionate about what I do, which, you know, and I juggle quite a few different things, different options, but I'm passionate about it. And I wouldn't want to do something or give up my time, be it a personal thing or a business thing, unless I truly was passionate about something. So I would say structure, strategy, you know, organization, focus. Does that give you a little insight into Susie's mind?
It does. But you also mentioned programming in the downtime, Susie. So self-care has to come into the equation as well. And we need to make time every day for some sort of exercise or activity outside work.
Massively. I mean, we've realized that in the last sort of 5-10 years that emotional health, which I like to frame it as opposed to mental health, emotional health is important to how we operate as a human, you know, and that definitely means do some kind of exercise, because that stimulates the brain, it moves the oxygen around the body, all of the above, plus hopefully it keeps, you know, as slim as you can be. So whether it's walking, whether it's swimming, I swim most mornings, whether it's doing gym classes, whether it's doing paddle boarding, which is a big craze at the moment, as we know, sweeping the world. Exercise is important, good nutrition, having time just to go and have a massage, you know, go to the movies, spending time with loved ones, spending time with a friend over a coffee, whatever it is, you need that balance. Even though that word has been poo-pooed over the years, I think personal self-care for emotional health and well-being is massively important.
And the you've just prompted me there. The Irish Psychological Society did a review 3 or 4 years back into the various components that help that positive mindset and supports people. I like that, supports their emotional health and well-being. And that included the social piece, the time to make the time spent with friends and family, as well as all the other things you mentioned in nutrition, the good sleep patterns. the exercise. So spending time with friends and family is critical, and we really need to be conscious of
Yes.
diarying that in.
Relationships are so key, not just for business, for personal. We're humans, we need that connection, you know, so relationship building in all spheres of our life is critical to emotional health.
And very neglected in many organizations.
Definitely.
Susie, your network is incredible. It's global because of all of the different corporations you've helped, because of all of your time supporting Tony Robbins events. You have a global network. Why is it so important to have that wider network? And what do you do to keep those relationships strong?
Nice question to ask. You're right. We are blessed, both you and I, to have traveled internationally around the world, personally, you know, for ourselves, family-wise, as well as for business. And I think that's broadened our mindset, that's broadened our connections. And the biggest thing that keeps a lot of it connected, where I've picked up business from and I do work it, is LinkedIn. I think that's a phenomenal business strategy. I also keep in touch with all the business connections I have met at events, you know, because everybody has some value added to give you, whether it's on a personal basis or to support your business or to introduce you to a client, you know, that may not be a fit for them because they're in a different genre, but it fits for you. And the natural networking that goes on when you do have a global network is phenomenal. You know, somebody reached out to me from the US a couple of weeks ago and did a great interview. You know, the person did a great interview for the Red Cross, but somebody picked it up in Europe from the US, and it was in German, and he needed to get that translated to make sure that the translation was good. So I had a contact in Germany and they translated it for me. So these are the kind of ways that we can help each other. You know, it doesn't just have to be for clients, but it's helping. The global movement of people and relationships and connection is so powerful, Lynne.
And I always say, if I don't know how to do something, I know somebody who knows somebody who will know how to help me find the answer or get to it. The point you made there is it's not always about how it comes back to us. It's about adding value because that's who we are and that's what we do. But I was on a training course at the weekend and I thought, oh, 3 to 11 on a Sunday, what am I doing this for? And it was about developing business. But the tips, as you said earlier, are not, the development tips are not just about how you grow your business. It's about how you grow yourself, your relationships, your network. And one of the things JT Fox said was putting people together is such an important contribution. So we may never do business with that person, but if we know someone who could help them in their journey and we can join those dots, that can be just so amazing. On bringing it down just to working within teams, a lot of people nowadays are struggling to keep their teams together because post-COVID, we're not just meeting everybody in the kitchen or the office or whatever anymore. Why are teams, and not just teams, we know teams are really important. Why is team development so critical, Susie?
I think, like you just said, we all know about teams, but do we really? I think everyone needs teams. We have them, as we've already just said in this conversation, a family is a team, friendship circles is a team, you know, and I think so many organizations have this non-alignment sometimes because they don't choose to bring teams, as you've experienced, I've experienced, hence part of the work we do. They are disjointed because they don't understand what the concept of a team is. And I truly believe one of the biggest concepts of a team in business is, first of all, to make people feel valued, you know, in whatever their strengths or gifts are, and then to see where it blends into a team. You know, what does team mean to that individual? What does it mean to that team that they sit within? What does it mean to the global organization? There are so many layers when I go in, and I find that so many people see teams differently. Hence, we've got the challenge, and you and I have discussed this many a time, you know, to align a team, to align a company, to align it for success and scaling, we have to get into what they understand a team means and then create it and bring everybody's gift into the table. And oh boy, everybody wins and everybody's happy. And that's what I think, you know, how the teams make a difference to each other, but also to the better good of the world.
And once we've created the team, it's like everything else. We need to nurture it and mind it and grow it and support it. And one of the things that we've looked at in the organizations I work within recently, teams have got to be places that are interactive, where everybody has a voice. Too often in big organizations, it's just an information giving session from the top. And people leave the meeting and they don't feel like it was like a team event. It was just an exchange of information. So helping people to ensure their teams are interactive places, because fundamentally everybody needs and wants to be heard, regardless of the situation.
They do. And that's so important. And like you said, it's to be constantly watered, you know, to use metaphors, because it's like any, you know, plant we have, we feed it regularly, don't we, to keep it alive? Well, that's exactly what we do have to do with the human teams. And people think, right, they've had a team training session, that's it. They know what to do. No, we've got to check in. We've got to do coaching. We've got to give feedback. We've got to see where people are at on the timelines. So it's ongoing.
You mentioned coaching there, and you're an executive coach. You've coached senior people in organizations all over the world. What's the difference between coaching and training?
Great distinction to ask. Training is knowledgeable. You've got to fit in pieces that they don't know, or they've forgotten, or they need to relearn. Coaching is a completely different medium where the best coaches ask questions and get the people or the teams or the organization to come up with the ideas and the new strategies, what they need to do. You know, training is telling, coaching is asking questions. And coaching is so valuable in organizations. But again, when I go into teams like you do, people don't know how to be a good coach. They think it's, oh, right, just being there for the person or nudging them or giving them feedback. No, they're not trained how to ask the best questions. They're not trained to help the individual or teams think for themselves, because we've all got the answers within us. Everybody has, because that's the strengths that need to be nurtured and watered, like we've said, to bring the value to the organization. So there's the difference. Training is telling and giving chunks of information that they need or missing or whatever needs the training to be in development, whereas coaching is purely helping them to discover even more of their best self, I would say.
And it's so rewarding, isn't it, when we ask those questions and you see people light up because they've figured it out for themselves. It's so much more empowering whenever they're able to do that.
Totally.
Susie, one last question. We all hit bumps in the road, and people do tend nowadays to beat themselves up pretty badly at times, as opposed to getting the learning from when something goes wrong. If there was one piece of advice that you could give your younger self, what would that be?
Oh, I love that question, Lynn. I love it. One thing that I learned, luckily very early on, and it's one statement, if you will, rather than a question that stayed with me forever. And I've taught it and I live it every single day when I'm up against that roadblock or that challenge, which, like you said, we all do in life, personally, professionally, whatever, is if I'm stuck, if I'm at that roadblock, I've not got clarity of mind. So I have to bring in my statement that has been one of my mottos always, and that is, there is always a way. I just haven't found it yet. So I need to go back to ask myself better questions, and I will find that way to pivot, to come out of it, to get the learning, to get the realization, to get the knowledge, whatever I feel I need. But there is always a way. Always. Just go find it.
And my friend, you have helped me with that question over more than 20 years. Thank you for having been in my life and adding such value. Susie, you mentioned LinkedIn. Is that the best way for people to contact you and connect with you?
Absolutely. Lynn, I adore you. You know, I'm very, very grateful of our friendship, you know, forever. Yes, it is. Dr. Susie Mitchell, SUSIE. You'll find me on there. And reach out if I can support people. It doesn't, as we said earlier, it doesn't have to be for a client, but if I can help somebody else get in touch with somebody they're trying to get in touch with, I'd be delighted. And just to connect, I'm very blessed to have that platform. Thank you so much for your time, Lynne. I've really loved it.
Thank you, Dr. Susie Mitchell. And please, everyone, look at her LinkedIn post. She posts a motivational saying or an inspirational quote every single day. Susie, thanks for joining us and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Lynne. Take care. Bye-bye.
Just a recap on some of the amazing insights from Dr. Susie Mitchell. She really stressed the importance of working on ourselves. Life is a journey. We need to learn from our experiences. We need to learn to reflect, and we need coaches and mentors to help us better understand how we do things, why we do things, and above all, to ask questions that help us get in touch with what is our purpose in life, because that's what drives most of us. So asking that question, what is it that drives me? What is my purpose? How at the end of every day will I know if I've added value? How at the end of every day, what do I need to do to feel fulfilled? Because she made that connection between fulfillment, success, and happiness. Susie also stressed the value and importance of relationships, and particularly within our teams. And what are our teams? Our family is a team. Our circle of friends is a team. The people we work with every day in work are teams. The people we connect with in different organizations, the people who inspire us, and the people who drive us to be a better version of ourselves. All those relationships are important. And how do we ensure that we nurture and grow them? And she made the distinction between with nature. Plants need watered and nurtured. Individuals need nurtured. Teams need nurtured. So reflect, listen to this podcast again, reflect on all the insights and the wisdom, and then ask yourself the really important questions. What else can I do today? How else can I add value? Join me next time on Success is Never Accidental.